I think by right discourse, you mean the correct discourse, not the left-right discourse. So there I would like to make 3 points. I think, first of all, I think the brute force of um, what I'm going to say is based on कि मैं science की तरफ से हूँ. So, uh, the three things that one needs to really get in mind is that if you were to follow, if your ideology was science, I'm not saying that it is always correct. What I'm saying is it actually teaches you a lot of humility, and you are also wrecked by self-doubt. Not to the extent as what Arnab correctly mentioned, self-deprecation or self-loathing, but there has to be some element of self-doubt. And that's where the humility would come from. And the three things specifically for the correct discourse or the right discourse for millennials, as you said, is what tragically all these 3 points I'm going to make is are non-existent right now if I were to look at the discourse that the millennials are discussing or that's going through. And the first one is this: we are a nation wrecked by selectivity. We are always talking about only one side. We never bring out the other side. And this, a lot of people over the social media have been very perturbed by. For example, you would always, for the last 5 years, you would always talk about freedom of expression that has been trampled upon by BJP without even bringing once that freedom of expression. We have constitution amendments that protect the people who go after people who want to have their freedom of expression. We have Congress where hundreds of instances that are even worse than BJP, but that is never brought out. You only keep on talking about one set of violations, that is by the BJP. Similarly, when you talk of lynchings, when you talk of mob attacks, you only talk of Hindu mob attacks on Muslims. You never talk about more than 150 Muslim mob hate crime attacks on Dalits, Hindus, Dalits, and non-Dalits. And that what that leads you to is scaremongering, because anybody who is reading constantly about only one type of attacks will have a completely different picture of India. I mean, there is no stability. He would think that India is now everything that is wrong that has been happening, almost like a Cambrian explosion happened after Narendra Modi came to power in 2014. Before that, it was like a Garden of Eden. Everything was absolutely fine. But if you look at science and anything that you publish, at the end of whatever your thesis is, there would be about 20 to 30 citations, references. And those references are meant to indicate that we have read all prior literature. Now, if somebody were to say that, look, this Hindu mob attack has happened on Muslims, and you were to publish it in a scientific journal, it is incumbent upon you to having read all prior literatures of all mob attacks. And there you would find that, yes, if there were 5 Hindu mob attacks, there were 5 Muslim mob attacks as well. And that itself would, lead you to not be, scared or not indulge in scaremongering. So this selectivity that in fact first was told by Dr. Ambedkar, he criticized Hinduism like no other leader has. He has lampooned, in fact, he left the fold of Hinduism and he became a Buddhist. So no more indictment of Hinduism any leader could have brought about, except what Dr. Ambedkar did. And he was the person who actually said that yes, people are always criticizing Hinduism, but do they know that these are the ills of Islam as well? Now, he could very well have said, I mean, considering that many people from the left say that, look, they always bring about the fact that Ambedkar hated Hinduism, but they never bring out the thing he also hated Islam or talked about the ills of Islam. So that's point number one. Point number two, which is also very important, and that is that I see a lot in the so-called right wing as well as is the tradition of the left wing, is what is called the social Darwinism, which is that you misappropriate the thoughts of Darwin, which is selection of the fittest, which incidentally was not his phrase but was inserted in the second edition of Origin of Species, and you apply it to a society. And there is a misapplication of it. And this misapplication is what has actually made all the empires and all those people who have annihilated civilizations and countries, continents, given this so-called quote-unquote moral thrust that, look, only the fittest will survive, so I have my rights to annihilate people who don't have guns or people who are not, brave or capable enough to confront me. And this can be devastating for any society, and we've seen it in the left traditionally, because they come up with this collectivism policy that we are doing things for the greater good, and that may involve killing millions of people, as Mao did, 63 million of his own people, as so many other communists did. And increasingly, there's also a facet of the right as well. And we saw that during demonetization, when there was so much of suffering. But there was this thing that, look, what we are doing, what the state is doing is for the greater good. So suffering is made elastic for others. So that is the other thing that science did. And the third thing which all of us, I think, here would agree unequivocally, is the complete disdain with which the Modi regime has treated education and reforming education with. To the extent that we had the education minister, ex-education minister, saying that I'm proud to have not even changed one comma in the textbooks. Now, I'll tell you, that is perhaps the most devastating as far as the correct discourse goes, because I mean, I would always think it this way: how is it possible that people still worship Mao, who killed 63 million of his own people? How is it possible? Where are the books that tell of his crime? How is it possible to have Tipu as an idol? How is it possible that people still worship Aurangzeb? And it is possible because we are scared to introduce textbooks that tell the other side, that tell through primary sources the other side. And somehow we feel proud that, look, let's not touch this because we might be ruffling a lot of feathers. And that, to me, I think, is the most devastating aspect. And if that doesn't change, there is very little hope in correcting the discourse in the new millennials. Thank you.